Members of the oil group OPEC and its allies, led by Russia, met online to review the oil market on Wednesday. They decided to leave the oil production levels unchanged. That was expected. Saudi Arabia and Russia each said that they would stick to voluntary supply cuts until the end of the year. Now, the oil prices this week have fallen, especially today. Traders are worried about the high interest rates in the U.S. and, of course, demand. For more on all this, we're joined by Yixing Xu. He's the former research director at Breakthrough Energy. Good to see you, and thank you for joining the show. This decision by OPEC, and I want to get to the oil prices in just a minute. While this was expected, was there something else perhaps behind the scenes that people were expecting to hear? Because we saw a fairly negative reaction, at least from the oil prices perspective, as they shifted down following that decision.
Yeah, I think OPEC is, according to what they said, I think they just want to continue to monitor the market, monitor the supply and demand, and they decided to commit to stick with the production curbs of more than 1 million barrels a day until the end of the year. I think they are really just trying to monitor supply and demand and making sure that they are not producing more than what's needed in the world. So although their production cut starting from early this year had spurred the recent rally by tightening the market, shrinking inventories, and increasing competition for prompt barrels. But the oil price may go down actually from now on, and it's really hard to say. It's always about the demand and supply. But the oil prices might go down because of lower demand.
Right. I saw a report earlier today that compared this last week of September to, from the year previous and the year previous, and I think the U.S. is using somewhere around 8 million gallons or so a day, and that was a drop from the prior year. What is behind the decrease in demand when it comes specifically to gasoline?
I think it's mainly the higher interest rate, which may sustain for a longer period of time, and also a lower demand, and also a lower economic growth. Actually, today's U.S. government figures actually shows that the gasoline demand dropped to the lowest seasonal level in 25 years. So that's a pretty low level. And also today, the West Texas Intermediate slumped 5.6%. To settle below $85 a barrel. That's the biggest one-day drop since September 2022. So all these factors are telling us there's a possibility that the oil price may drop actually from now on rather than going up. But it's really hard to say. It's about the interest rate, the economic growth, etc.
Well, over the past decade or so, we've obviously talked about energy quite a bit, and we've seen oil prices bump around between, say, 50 and 100. There has been a huge call to diversify our oil consumption, to whether it be nat gas, solar, you name the energy input. And it really doesn't seem to have changed all that much, perhaps on the margins, and you still hear countries calling for more drilling, more oil, and so on, when it specifically comes to fossil fuels. Are we making a dent on how these trends affect, I guess, us?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I think we are definitely making progress in this clean energy transition. So we're going to transition away from fossil fuel, and we want to use more clean energies. There has been a lot of progress in recent years, especially from countries like China, US, and Europe. But it's also important to know that clean energy transition takes time. It takes probably 3 to 4 decades for us to get to a net zero economy. So before we achieve that, there is a certain period of time we do need fossil fuel, we do need oil, we do need gas. However, we need to be very careful that we may need to continue investing some in oil and gas industry, but we cannot overinvest in those industries. We actually need to invest more and faster in mature and emerging clean energy technology, so we can quickly transition away from fossil fuel and start using much more clean energy now and in the future. And as the International Energy Agency said, they have called for spending on new oil and gas projects to stop immediately, if the world has a chance to reducing emissions by
what I don't
0 by
understand,
2050.
if going to green energy or using less fossil fuels is so important, we have the technology today to reduce our reliance upon fossil fuels by simply, very simply put, raise the efficiency level of the vehicles that we have now. In other words, in our case, miles per gallon, right? And we've seen a steady increase on fuel efficiency, but we could easily increase that significantly through use of hybrid, and I'm not talking about electric cars even, I'm talking about just regular gas combustion cars. We can make those more efficient. Why aren't governments doing more, perhaps, to promote this, not just in the US, but around the world?
Yeah, I think making the electric vehicles more efficient is definitely important, but it is far away from enough, because our final goal is really to get to net zero, which means we want to absorb all the emissions already produced in the atmosphere and store them underground. So actually, government needs to do more in making the vehicles more efficient. But what's ultimately going to work is actually completely depending on clean energy, like clean electricities, and using electric vehicles or hydrogen cars, and with clean hydrogens produced with clean electricities. So that is going to be the ultimate solution for us.
I know hydrogen has been mentioned a number of times. It feels like we're getting closer, but sometimes it feels like we're not getting there fast enough. Yixing, good to see you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.